Hi, I'm the executive producer and writer of Opus Echo of Starsong. Thank you for finishing the game and hope you enjoyed the 10 hours or so experience we have brought you. If you would like to know more about the story, you're at the right place. We created a special corner just for the players who have completed the game, which is you. I always enjoyed the concept of feng shui and its energy source we called as lumen inside this game. If we use this theme on a much grander scale, in this game's case, as big as the galaxy, mountains are used to be considered as an energy source in the theory of feng shui, but it became the asteroids that June explored in-game. This allows us to design a world filled with imagination, since this kind of concept has never been done before. But the world also becomes a little bit more difficult to create because there are just way too many things that we have to explain to the players. So we have to simplify the whole concept in the end. The game is centered around sound. It's about using the voice of Ida to search for any trace of lumen energy in this galaxy. Lumen will also emit a sound inside the asteroids it's situated in. It's all really complicated, so that's why we create the word Starsong to express the sound emitted from the asteroids. The word echo is used to imply that the whole event you witness might just be a reoccurrence of some sort, that there's more things hidden behind than what you see. This story is not just about Ida and June, it is also about the ancient myths that were passed down over time, and there just might be some kind of connections between the two stories. Lumen can be interpreted as multiple things. It can be an energy source that powers up everything. It can be referred to as minerals, but my favorite explanation is lumen can be implied as the thing that each individual is searching for or most desired. The central theme of discovering your true self goes way back to our first game. Although the main characters will encounter hardship and eventually parting with another person or thing, they face the problems and grow stronger. The story is often sad, but with a sense of warmth in it. And this is what the Opus series is always about. As I mentioned before, the theory of feng shui is about the energy sourced from the mountains. So for a solar system that is filled with energy source, we think it is most suitable for it to be called as the Thousand Mountains. But since we don't want the name to be so literal, we change it to a slightly more poetic name, the Thousand Peaks. As I mentioned before, the theory of feng shui is about the energy sourced from the mountains. So for a solar system that is filled with energy source, we think it is most suitable for it to be called as the Thousand Mountains. But since we don't want the name to be so literal, we change it to a slightly more poetic name, the Thousand Peaks. You'll also notice that there's a key difference between this game and our previous two games. The main characters don't have such huge responsibilities anymore. You don't need to find Earth, nor you don't need to do a space burial as the last survivor of mankind. Instead, you're only focusing on the problems of two individuals living in this world. The choices they make may seem important to them, but they lived in a living world where they are not the only people there, and whatever they do won't affect as much to the world. Although you might say that this is not epic enough, but we like this kind of story. It somehow feels a little bit more real. The voice of Ida played a crucial role in the story. I believe you have heard the game filled with wonderful music and sound effects, but you'll have to understand that sound design is extremely difficult. Not everyone will easily understand how the sound works when the player is solving the puzzle, let alone differentiate what is correct and what's not. We were trying our best to balance out three characteristics of the sound. Each sound needs to be easily identifiable, sounds good, and expresses the ancient voice. We also learned that the differences between sounds might seem obvious for some, but subtle to the others. But if you listen closely, you'll realize that all the puzzles in the game can be solved just by hearing the sounds alone. The voice game filled with wonderful music and sound effects, but you'll have to understand that sound design is extremely difficult. Not everyone will easily understand how the sound works when the player is solving the puzzle, let alone differentiate what is correct and what's not. We were trying our best to balance out three characteristics of the sound. Each sound needs to be easily identifiable, sounds good, and expresses the ancient voice. We also learned that the differences between sounds might seem obvious for some, but subtle to the others. But if you listen closely, you'll realize that all the puzzles in the game can be solved just by hearing the sounds alone. Like before, the most challenging aspect is making the player submerge into the story. Especially now we have a much bigger world and a more variety of characters to interact with. How to combine the main plot with different subplots filled with stories of side characters without deviating too much away from the main plot is a big challenge for us. Keeping the players interested is hard, and if you're hearing this, you must have experienced the game in full already. Every design aspect, like your death count, time spent on a puzzle, and amount of items you have collected through a period of time, it's all based on countless times of testing and refining the game, and I hope you are satisfied with the result. If you're the kind of player who enjoys digging through the story and lore of the game, searching for any underlying meaning behind the symbols you find, then you're in luck, because there are a lot to uncover this time around. Is there any connections between the Mirian inscriptions, Helios, Terra, Tai? What do those things connect with the main plot? Is there a symbolism of the flowers inside the Banshee? And why do the ships travel towards it? Also, what is the meaning of the end screen in the credits? The hint has all been laid out for you already, so go ahead and solve all the mysteries now. This one is for the whole development team. We have spent over 3 years developing this game, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being with me and pulling off such a feat. We started from a blank piece of paper. Until now, countless spreadsheets and pages of stories were completed and written. Thank you all for listening to all my almost selfish requests, and thank you for making this game a dream come true of mine. Since the game's release, we've been blessed by the support of many streamers who share their game with their fans. Since there are just too many people to name, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you. All of you have so much charm in so many different ways, and as a producer, I'm just so happy to be able to hear all of your thoughts on our work. Whether the reaction is positive or not, your work takes on a life of its own when it passes into someone else's hands. So thank you all for breathing life into our game. It means a great deal to us. For all of the players who completed the game, I would like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. If you are one of the players who grew up with our little robot Emus playing the first game of Opus, thank you so much for continuing support. And I'm pretty sure you can feel how we have grown throughout these years. We hope the game gave you heartfelt feelings, and hopefully our future projects can also do the same. Lastly, I feel obligated to express that how challenging is it to make an indie game. Oftentimes, it is not just making a quality game. You will have to face the fierce competition in the global market, and often the competitors will have way more marketing budget than you. How to generate attention from everyone becomes challenging, and we ourselves haven't figured it out completely yet. So if this game resonates with you, I want to ask you a favor to share this game to the people you know. Tell them it is worth a try. And to us, that is the biggest support that you can give for us, and we thank you once again.